Right then, this is a quick walk around video and for a really special CRV. First and foremost, apologise. It's a glorious day, but it means that the car's going to be kind of part in shade, part in the sun. The reason it's in the shade partially is so the interior is easier to video. This is special for lots of reasons. First of all, it's covered just 34,000 miles, 2-litre EX automatic. It's also finished in this beautiful deep sapphire blue, which looks stunning on the car. It's got the subtle high-level rear spoiler, side steps, wind deflectors. It's a very special car, and it is in genuinely lovely condition. Front of the car is really clean. Lights and lenses are clear and intact. There's no cracks or condensation on them. Bumper's very clean. Same with the bonnet, very clean indeed. Hardly a stone chip of any note on there. Going down the near side, really smooth in the panel work. Can't see any obvious indentations there at all. Near side front alloy, apologise for the glare, really good, and that's the one that takes generally all of the bashing. It's got a really natural lustre to the paintwork, which is superb. Near side rear alloy again, lovely. And again, with these spoilers, it is subtle, but it just changes the whole look of the car, in my opinion. Going around the back, again, exceptionally clean. Around to the offside, the driver's side, again, beautifully smooth in the panels. It looks like the car's maybe 3 or 4 years old, not 10 or 11. Offside rear alloy, again, absolutely fantastic. Remaining panels exceptionally clean. Panel alloy again, beautiful condition. So externally, the car genuinely is absolutely superb condition there. So coming into the boot area, nice to see it's got its full complement of equipment in here, which is quite often gone missing. You've got the tonneau cover, the middle shelf, all there, and it is in stunning condition. All the plastics look absolutely superb in there. Coming to the back now, the leg room is kind of limousine-like in these, extraordinary. And the leatherwork for a car this age, it's incredibly clean, because CRVs are generally family cars, so they can be very heavily used, and yet this one's got away pretty much scot-free. So coming in on the front passenger side, again, all lovely and clean. Passenger seat there literally looks like it's hardly ever been sat on. Finally coming in on the front, again, door card, beautifully clean. Footwell areas likewise, excuse my shadow. And driver's seat, and it is an 11-year-old car regardless of the mileage, and that looks pretty much like new. So we're inside the car now. Engine's running as always this section, so the dashboard can be seen illuminated. Dashboard looks absolutely as new. It's incredibly clean. Sat nav, you can see, working exactly as it should. Just pop the car into reverse there for you. You got that lovely clear parking camera, again, all working exactly as intended. Then come up to the dash binnacle. 34,044 miles, and no warning lights on the dashboard at all. As I said, this is a pretty special example. Finally, just to show you, owner's manual pack and lock and unlock key, all here and present with the car. Right, and this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda CR-V 2-litre EX automatic. This car is registered CK61DVY and has an astonishing mileage, just 34,037 recorded. Really is a very special car, which is why we bought it, quite clearly. The reason we do all of our videos, and actually especially this road test section, is to ensure that if anyone's online looking at any of our cars, they get to see the very car we're advertising in operation. The reason we feel it's important is simple. It's because we know to our cost, unfortunately, that like many people, we've been to see cars which have looked absolutely fine in photographs and descriptions, but only to get there and find out there's been an obvious fault that's shown up or shows up whilst driving the car. So hence that's why we do it. We also do it on these very quiet country roads in this beautiful part of Gloucestershire, and this actually forms part of the road test routes we take our customers on. The theory being, of course, hopefully that'll be representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car, with such a low mileage and with the attached service history to the car, you'd expect it to drive well, and it does in every way. It drives absolutely beautifully. They were way ahead of their time, in all honesty. First and foremost, I am biased. I love these cars. I own a CR-V. We've sold thousands of them. It doesn't detract from the fact that I will just go through the usual things one by one, as I always do. Starting with the engine, of course, which starts immediately and settles to a smooth, even idle. There are no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car. And temperature gauge is running as a third, which is exactly where it's meant to be on a Honda car, and it's been running for well over half an hour now. That little ping you can hear, by the way, is one of these little speed chimes that someone set throughout the car, which I will turn off because I find them incredibly annoying, but they're good for your license in terms of points, quite clearly. The engines are superb in every single way. It's what you'd expect of a Honda. They are the most reliable and long-lasting engines in their class by quite a long way, actually, helped by the fact they're chain driven, then there's no cam belts on them, but it's also a beautiful piece of engineering. It's flexible, quiet, refined, gutsy, and it's got a tone to the engine. You know, it's got a mechanical sophistication to it. Honda do four-cylinder engines better than anyone in the world, and this is a classic example of why. Engine then feeds through into the auto gearbox, which, like the engine, has a reputation for being incredibly long-lasting. Touch wood, we've never ever touched one. Gear shifts are beautifully done. You hardly feel them. On the move, obviously they've chosen the ratios carefully to extract the best out of the engine in terms of fuel economy and performance, so it's kind of a compromise between the two, and done a lovely job. And notwithstanding reputation, by the way, doesn't matter what automatic you buy or look at buying, just do the obvious checks. Just make sure that on the move the gear shifts are smooth, which they are in this. They're all but imperceptible, but also when you start away, when you put it into drive or reverse from stationary from neutral, make sure there's no kind of clunks as it engages, and there are none at all again, so it's perfect in that sense. Steering on the car tracks absolutely bullet straight. There's no vibrations at all at the speed, or any speed up to the legal limit, and it's a really nicely done power steering system, because what it gives you is weight. And what I mean by that is, yeah, it's dead easy at low speed to manoeuvre. There's no effort at all being power steering, but on the move it's got a kind of a heft to it, which makes the car feel so solid and secure on the road at all speeds. There's no kind of vagueness, lifelessness to it. You know, it's not sporty, it's not meant to be, but what it does brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly. And the same goes for the chassis, because what they're trying to achieve for a family car is obviously a comfortable ride, which is what it gives you. I mean, and Honda know this market so well, with the CR-V being the best-selling SUV in the world. So they obviously know what to do. And this, again, is just this wonderful example of it. So it gives you a beautifully damped ride. But when you go into corners of all types, actually, you turn like now, you know, you don't get that kind of keeling over which you get with some of its competitors, where they lollop into corners because they're so softly sprung. You know, they feel lovely on a bumpy road, but as soon as you show them some corners, they, you know, all but fall to pieces in that sense. And going across this section of the road, which is very rutted. No clonks, no rattles, nothing at all. The whole car feels ludicrously tight for a 10, 11-year-old car, regardless of mileage. I'm just going to give the brakes a good old thump, make sure no one's directly behind me. That's a really good brake pedal on the car. What I'm looking for is, I don't know if it's got vibrations to the brake pedal or any pulsing, and there's absolutely nothing at all. It's all absolutely spot on. Finally, coming inside the car, which is yet to be cleaned but is in lovely condition. The first thing that you're aware of with any Honda really is build quality. They are beautifully put together cars. They're made on low mileage, but there's no squeaks, no rattles. They're just brilliantly done, and they choose the texturing of the plastics basically to make them easy to clean, be, you know, hard wearing. And as I said, the problem with a lot of motoring press is they think squidgy plastics is build quality. It isn't. It's the materials used, it's how it's assembled, and this is what hold together so well over the duration. The dashboard itself, by the way, it's very well equipped. Even by modern standards, it's very well equipped, and all working perfectly. But unlike modern cars, which can be daunting to say the least when you get into them, this is so simple to sit in. You can just jump in and drive, and there's a couple of things going into the sat nav is one of the easier ones you're going to use. All obvious how it works, rather than you having to just kind of thumb through the owner's manual too much. And again, all working exactly as it should. Sat navs, you can see you've got dual zone climate control system, which gives you different temperatures side to side if you so wish, and it's pumping out absolutely ice cold air, by the way. It's all working perfectly as you'd expect with all Hondas. All the switch gears, that lovely quality of actuation to it, which these are high quality machines in terms of not only the mechanics but the buttons and all that kind of stuff. They do brilliantly well. Dash binnacle in front of me is just your classic Honda, simple, legible, beautifully displayed dials, and again by modern standards, where you look at a dashboard and you try and squint to look at the information you want to get because there's so much going on. It's just perfect. It's exactly how it should be. Minimalist in some ways, but really nicely presented. Steering wheel, which is leather bound, shows absolutely no wear in it at all. Cruise control, again, working perfectly. Heated seats work perfectly, all does. It's a joyous car, it really is. It is a four-wheel drive version of the CR-V, but there are no buttons to press because Honda worked out very quickly when they did the first generation one that the vast majority of people would be driving them as I am today, in perfectly good conditions where you don't need four-wheel drive on. So basically it runs on front-wheel drive, the most efficient way to pull a car along, and as and when it needs to bring in the four-wheel drive, it will do so itself. So if you pulled away on snow or mud or ice, front wheels momentarily lose grip, it instantly brings in the rear wheels to give you four-wheel drive, and seamlessly too. And it reacts far more quickly than you could ever do it because it runs through the traction control system of the car. Its lack of use also gives it its reliability, because it's not been used very much. So we've virtually never touched one, so that's how tough they are. Also means that you're not going to get through your tyres as quickly or use as much fuel because it's not don't have the same kind of frictional losses there. As I said at the start of the video, it's only a brief one. It's just to show the car operating. But this is a very special example. It's a lovely car that is as good to drive now as it was when it came off the production line, in all honesty.